Delighted to be joined by Jamesie O'Connor here now in FBD Semple Stadium. You must be thrilled with that win for Clare.
Yeah, super performance all around, Stephen. Obviously great start, again 15-4 up after 30 minutes, and Hurling Cork all over the field. Just thought the honesty of our lads, Cathal Malone, Ryan Taylor were brilliant in the middle of the field. Our defenders attacked the ball. And obviously, up front we were causing Cork a lot of problems. Peter Duggan again looked dangerous. Shane O'Donnell got 2 in the first half. Tony Kelly again didn't need to shoot the lights out, but was involved in lots of good things. So, obviously, Cork, I suppose we were never going to totally dominate the match. And Cork, to their credit, got themselves back into the game. I mean, 6 behind at half time. In a hurling match, it's still very much on. But I think we weathered that Cork storm, early in the second half, and we were probably 8 clear, I think, until Alan Connolly and Connolly's goal gave Cork another foothold and another lifeline. But from there again, we responded well, got some crucial scores after that, and overall, I think we were good value for the win, and 2 points probably doesn't accurately reflect how well we played, and that margin probably should have been more than what it was. Yeah,
start to the second half, David Fitzgerald got a really good point. Clare just tried to keep that tone going and kept that scoreboard ticking over, whereas Cork went long periods without getting scores.
They did, and I mean, again, I think even in the first half, I think by the 30th minute, Cork had 8 shots on goal, and that's, I think, reflective of the dominance the Clare had. And 17 scores, but 8 wides in the first half tells its own story. So we probably should have been further ahead at the break. But I suppose 27-28 points is going to win most of these games, Stephen. And we had 17 on the board at half time. So as you said, I just felt that we needed to keep the scoreboard ticking over, and we managed to do that. And I think particularly after Connolly's goal, and then subsequently had the red card. We got 3 huge scores. Dave Fitzgerald, Ryan Taylor, and I think it was Dermot Ryan got 3 crucial points that again just stretched that lead to 7 points. And we were always, from there to the end, pretty much able to keep Cork at arm's length. Now the goal later on, put a different gloss on it, and you're wondering how much time Paul Dwyer was going to play at the finish. But I think Brian Lohan will be thrilled with the honesty of the effort. The Clare lads give it absolutely everything on that field, and it really probably looks now as if they've secured 3rd place. Cork have to go to Waterford now, to Walsh Park in 2 weeks' time, have to win, and it may, Clare obviously have Limerick, who may very well be qualified after having played Tip next weekend, and so they're in a great position with 2 home games to come, and I think Brian Lohan would have bitten your hand off if you'd offered him that at the start of the campaign.
One controversial call in it, the red card. Ian Galvin, your thoughts on that? And Cork had a red card as well later on.
Yeah, to me, I mean, again, there was a bit of a, I suppose, look at the Cork player, there was a fight for the ball when the Cork lads was on the ground, and suddenly there were 6 or 7 bodies in, and Rob Downey came in, and I thought, it was, done to a couple of lads, and players were coming in from both sides, and Ian Galvin, I think, got a dig from somebody and maybe poked the hurley and maybe into Sean O'Donoghue's midriff, and O'Donoghue was doubled over, and I think it was the linesman drew the referee's attention to it. To me, it was harsh. There didn't seem to be anything in it, and obviously Mark Keane got a straight red for an off-the-ball altercation with John Conlon late in the game, but it wasn't a dirty game. And yes, I think we finished up with 2 reds and 4 yellows, and you wouldn't have said there was a dirty stroke struck in open play. So that's a pity, and obviously Clare's reserves are depleted as it is up front without Aidan McCarthy and without Mark Rogers and Shane Meehan. So it's Ian Galvin assuming, I mean, I'd imagine he'd appeal it. Don't know whether he'll get off or not, but they'll be without him now heading into the Limerick match, and obviously that's another loss that we really don't have the reserves to deal with. But it's one negative in what was by and large a hugely positive day for Clare hurling and for the Clare players.
There's a great energy about him now. You had Tony Kelly score, and Shane O'Donnell is back, a real fan's favourite with his flamboyant, skillful style. And there's energy about Clare now, and a lot of people wouldn't have sensed that at the start of the league or during the league, but Clare now look like they could be real contenders.
Absolutely. I mean, I suppose we don't arguably have the depth, certainly that Limerick or maybe Kilkenny or Waterford have. The panel maybe is that bit shallower, and when you're without maybe key players early on in the league, I mean, Tony Kelly obviously had ankle surgery, wasn't available in the earlier rounds. We went to Cork and took a bit of a beating down there, but I saw enough positives during the league campaign. We went toe to toe with Limerick and Ennis, could have got something out of the Wexford game, and you just felt that when we have everybody back, and if Brian can get the best out of what he has, and that's what he's done since he's taken over, he's got the best out of that bunch of players, we can put it up to anybody. Obviously you know, with Limerick in Cusack Park in 2 weeks' time. You know, there's that border rivalry. You know, we always lifted for Limerick, so you know, that's obviously a big game to look forward to. But at this point in time, you know, our scoring average is now I think plus 10. You know, I think we've every chance that we look like we've the groundwork done to secure at least that third place and maybe a place in the Munster final. And given how competitive Munster was, you know, that's no mean feat for this bunch of players.
Yeah, it felt like for a couple of years that Tony Kelly, you know, he was the talisman, still is, and has a lot of pressure on his shoulders maybe now and again, but all of a sudden you've got Shane O'Donnell, you've got Duggan, you've got these other guys that are contributing in a big way up in the forwards on the scoreboard as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Mark Rogers is a guy with a huge hopes for in Clare, and Aidan McCarthy has really, you know, come of age in the last couple of years, but by and large Tony had to play really well for Clare to win most of those games. So to get Peter Duggan and Shane O'Donnell back was huge, but not just to get them back, but to get them back in the form that they've shown the two games. It's a massive lift to both the players and obviously the management team. And Duggan, I thought, was a real handful for Cork in that first half, 3 from play and fouled for a couple of frees. Shane again 2 points from play in the first half, a bit quieter in the second half, but still when a crucial ball laid on set Tony up for another score that was important, keeping that scoreboard ticking over. So yeah, you know, we haven't needed Tony to shoot the lights out in the two games, and we've put big totals on the board, which is obviously very, very positive. So, you know, if we can get Aidan McCarthy back, Shane Meehan hopefully will be back. Mark Rogers looks like, you know, his knee injury will probably rule him out. But with those guys, it just gives Brian a few more options up front, and you know, as it takes some of that pressure and that load off Tony.
And Jamesie, the energy is great around the team. The supporters were huge, I felt, in this game, because usually the Cork supporters are the ones you sense when they're playing, but today the Clare supporters were chanting late on in the game. You know, the county must feel that there's something big brewing for Clare hurling.
Yeah, I mean, I think, listen, Brian and you know, there's a committee there, Club Clare, that seem to have, you know, really galvanised the hurling public in the county, and you know, there's genuine goodwill towards obviously the management team and the players. But the players deserve massive credit, because, you know, you just feel that they're given everything they have for the jersey, and you can't ask for any more than that as a supporter or as a manager. And obviously credit to Brian and the management team, you know, for being able to, as I said, get the maximum out of the resource they have available to them. So yeah, Club Clare have a fundraiser this week. You know, there'll be a great buzz now around that back west in Doonbeg and Lahinch. And it's great to see a relatively big Clare crowd down here again today, and hopefully, you know, Cusack Park is already sold out for that Limerick game in 2 weeks' time. That'll be now you know, a real humdinger hopefully, and with Waterford to come in the last match, you know, Clare in a good place.
Excellent stuff. So just finally, you're up against the best in hurling next time out, Clare and Limerick. Absolutely huge clash.
Yeah, look at massive game. You know, that rivalry. I mean, they played a really good, high octane, high intensity game in the league. You know, could have gone both ways. Limerick probably had chances to win it at the death, but a draw was a fair result. And look at the Clare and Limerick players know each other inside out. I mean, a lot of these guys were in college together in Mary I, UL, LIT, play Fitzgibbon. You know, there's huge obviously respect in the Clare panel for what Limerick have done. But you know, they've gone toe to toe with Limerick. Obviously beat Limerick in Cusack Park in 2018, the round robin. You know, Cusack Park is a place that Clare have a relatively good record in. Listen, we'll be underdogs. We're under no illusions as to how good Limerick are. But you know, assuming Limerick beat Tip next weekend, you know, that's 3 wins. That's automatic Munster final qualification secured. You know, injuries to key players. Keane Lynch obviously looks like he's going to miss the rest of the Munster Championship. Kyle Hayes has that hamstring injury. So, you know, John Kiley may not need to start, you know, arguably his strongest 15, and you know, maybe use it to give game time to Carl O'Neill and Colin Coughlin and Adam English and some of these other good young players that he has. So, you know, that maybe works in our favour. Now Tip might put the cat amongst the pigeons next week, but it's hard to see it after being so flat against Clare a couple of weeks ago. So Clare, yeah, obviously I think being off next weekend is massive as well, Stephen, to, you know, to recharge the batteries, get the energy levels back up, because they look like they had really dug deep and emptied the tanks today. So, you know, great now for Clare to have the 2 weeks of the Limerick game, and then go at it again and you know, see how they get on.
Great stuff. Thanks, Jamesie.
Cheers, Stephen.